process of the expansion of the effort of the American government to grow its economy?
Sure. I think the idea here is that if trade grows both ways, that it should promote growth in both Indonesia and the United States. That's the idea. Right now, I have to admit that we buy a little bit more from Indonesia than Indonesia buys from us, but that's okay. We want to double exports going both ways. But I want to pick up on one point that Ibu Retno said, that there's in a way two parts of this partnership. One is consulting, particularly between the governments, more about issues in the region or in the world. How do we try to promote peace and security, or in the G20? We're both G20 members. How do we work together in the G20? So that's an important part. But the other, as she said, is the people to people, and that's, as we mentioned earlier, university partnerships, students, scientists. We've had, we just had 30 young American scientists here working with 40 young Indonesian scientists. Today we have a group of very prominent American entrepreneurs here meeting with Indonesian young entrepreneurs. So this is really how we're going to build a better relationship through that people-to-people connection.
And in very short period of time, Secretary Hillary Clinton is also going to arrive.
Yes.
What is going to be the focus on that?
Well, she's arriving later this week in Bali. There's two purposes. One is, of course, Indonesia is the chair of ASEAN this year, and so on Friday and Saturday of this week will be ASEAN and ASEAN Regional Forum and East Asia Summit discussions at the foreign minister level. So she'll be participating actively in those, and of course Foreign Minister Nadalegawa will be chairing those meetings. And then on Sunday we will have the second meeting of the Joint Commission that Ibu Retno talked about between our two countries, where they will hear reports about the progress we've made and also the work we still have to do. And they'll also have a chance to talk about whatever other issues are on their minds, bilateral, regional, or global.
So how important is ASEAN to the United States, particularly while Indonesia is chair of ASEAN?
It's very important. Almost 600 million people, and a major player in terms of global peace, security, diplomacy, the center of regional architecture in Asia. That's why 3 or 4 years ago, I guess 3 years ago, when President Obama took office, Secretary Clinton, we joined and signed the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation of ASEAN. We named an ambassador for ASEAN. I had the honor of having that position before I came here, and now we have our first resident ambassador to ASEAN here based in Jakarta, my colleague David Carden. All of that reflects our view that ASEAN is playing an important role and will play an increasingly important role in the future.
What would you expect between the United States and ASEAN? What cooperation is going to be established?
Well, there's already quite a bit of cooperation. Of course, there's a lot between the United States and each individual ASEAN member nation, certainly including Indonesia. But with ASEAN as a whole, we've been working together for several years. Much of what we're doing is in support of ASEAN's own goals of creating this ASEAN community by 2015. So we're providing technical assistance, capacity building, but also doing discussions with ASEAN as a whole about problems in the region, how we could work together to promote peace, security, and economic development. There's quite a bit happening.
Bu Retno, tentang kehadiran para menteri dan ministerial meeting di Bali minggu depan ini, dan juga akan mengambil sejumlah diskusi dalam persiapan juga ke ASEAN. Bagaimana Ibu melihatnya? Pak Dubes menyatakan betapa pentingnya ASEAN terhadap Amerika Serikat dan juga bagaimana pentingnya terhadap negara-negara anggota secara individu.
Saya kira seperti apa yang disampaikan oleh Pak Dubes tadi, bahwa dari tahun ke tahun catatan atau penilaian negara lain terhadap ASEAN saya kira cukup meningkat, atau cukup dalam arti ASEAN dipandang dapat memberikan kontribusi terhadap perdamaian di kawasan. Nah, keketuaan Indonesia seperti yang Pak Doni ketahui, kita mempunyai 3 prioritas dalam keketuaan Indonesia dalam tahun ini. Pertama adalah prioritas yang sifatnya lebih ke dalam arti kita ingin meyakinkan bahwa ada satu perkembangan yang cukup signifikan oleh ASEAN untuk mencapai ASEAN Community pada tahun 2015. Prioritas yang kedua selama keketuaan Indonesia adalah bahwa kita ingin menjamin bahwa lingkungan regional kita cukup kondusif sehingga akan tetap bisa mendukung pembangunan ekonomi yang terjadi atau yang berlangsung di negara-negara ASEAN. Karena dalam 40 tahun terakhir kita membuktikan bahwa ASEAN mampu menciptakan perdamaian di kawasan. Yang ketiga yang sifatnya lebih global adalah bahwa beyond 2015, selepas dari 2015 di mana kita akan mencapai ASEAN Community, kemudian kita bisa menunjukkan kepada dunia bahwa kita mampu memberikan kontribusi yang besar terhadap masalah-masalah dunia. Jadi kita merasa bahwa prioritas itu sudah didukung oleh negara-negara ASEAN dan prioritas itu juga diapresiasi dan didukung oleh mitra bicara kita. Kita yakin bahwa mereka mengharapkan selama keketuaan Indonesia semua prioritas itu akan tercapai dan kita lihat mereka memberikan dukungan yang luar biasa selama ini.
Bagaimana dengan peran Indonesia dalam keketuaannya di ASEAN ini dengan hubungan Amerika Serikat dengan Indonesia sendiri dan juga ke ASEAN? Apakah ini akan ada sedikit berbenturan atau tidak, Bu?
Saya kira tidak. Saya kira satu sama lain saling melengkapi atau complementary. Dalam artian begini, kalau kita berhubungan baik dengan Amerika misalnya atau dengan negara lain misalnya, yang kita harapkan tentunya hubungan ini juga terjadi di ASEAN. Jadi mengaseankan Indonesia dan mengindonesiakan ASEAN. Jadi saya kira tidak ada alasan apapun adanya benturan atau adanya satu gap antara hubungan baik Indonesia dengan Amerika dan hubungan baik ASEAN dengan Indonesia.
Excellency, I would like to come back to this people-to-people relationship between the United States and Indonesia. Well, Indonesia is the largest Muslim-populated country, while the U.S. are still tackling on issues that inflict Islam. How did it come to this growth of, for instance, trade and the ongoing bilateral ties that is escalating and so forth? Could you explain this?
Well, I mean, the honest truth is Indonesia is a very important country for the world and for the United States, not because it's the largest Muslim majority country, but because it's the fourth largest country in the world, a big democracy, a big player. So we have an interest in Indonesia based on Indonesia, regardless of religion. You know, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the United States. So even as we speak, America is changing, and Americans' attitudes toward Islam as we become more knowledgeable about Islam are changing, and there's certainly no barrier at all, in my view, caused by religion. People from the United States who come here and Indonesians who go to the United States, the overwhelming majority of them come back feeling extremely positive. And that's what we want to focus on. We think there's a lot of opportunities there.
That sounds very excellent. So, Ibu, saya juga akan mendengar komentar Ibu, namun sebelumnya kita akan mengikuti pariwara berikut ini. Tetaplah bersama Dialog Aktual TVRI.